So, self-righteous Katt Williams strikes again, where he goes on yet another rant for the 800th time and sprays everybody that is one of his peers and that he'll have to work with in the future possibly by saying how terrible they are at their job compared to his greatness. And you all just really find this so entertaining. Do you want to know why?
You having an unnatural allegiance to losers does not like you.
So I guess that would be my version of a cold open. What's up, brownies? Welcome back to the Pretty Brown Rides channel. Let's go ahead and get into this. And spoiler alert, yes, I am taking the contrarian approach on this one in the very same way that I did on the Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens interview. Meaning, because everybody else is already talking about that one clip and the obvious, there's no need for me to make the 8 millionth video on this. And what I got from this interview is, whereas I love Katt Williams and he is my fave of all of the people that he named and sprayed, however, there's a self-righteousness to some of his comments that I cannot forgive, especially when you know his history. So if you don't understand what I mean by self-righteous, let me go ahead and get into a few clips for you.
Because you don't make me the villain. Not the guy that raises black children and ain't never done a hard drug in his life and don't have no stories of doing nobody dirty. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves. You either believe in karma or you don't. They tried to kill me this same weekend. Not in jokes. With a real gun in my real face on real camera. Understand I'm losing my life for participating in something that goes along with my job. Like, it's two comedians, what do you mean? And the world was okay with it because it was me. Had that happened to anyone else, the world went crazy when Will smacked Chris.
So it should come as no surprise that as the Gemini that I am, where I rest at on Katt Williams is a space of constant duality. On the one hand, of course, I love him when he's being a comedian. Like I said, he's one of my faves of everybody that's been mentioned. I don't love the way that he does these interviews where he tears down everybody else in the industry. And this happens every few years. I don't think he's really saying anything new. He's not even saying anything that matters. Let me tell you the one portion of this interview that Katt Williams said something that I did not like and I could not stand by at all.
Ricky Smiley knows this. And I don't know why he would lose a child and come on the air and start lying. That's why people believe in rituals right there.
Now, for those of you who have been watching my videos for a while, you're going to say the reason why you're so triggered by that is because my family is still in bereavement since this summer. That's not it. I'm triggered by it because I'm a decent human being. There's no way to justify using the death of somebody's son as a tie-in or as a segue in a conversation that basically you're saying that your memory and recollection of how a movie role came about is different from his. It doesn't justify you saying this in the way that you said it. But what I really focused on is Ricky Smiley's response to it.
And then, the thing about it is it just came at a crazy time because I'm actually somewhere away from Birmingham trying to figure out how I'm going to get through this 1 year of my son's passing. And that's why we have to be real careful when we attack because you don't know what somebody's going through. Like I'm in deep therapy. I'm having body pain. I'm not trying to say any of this for sympathy. But like my son died January last year. And I can't deal with the winter. I'm having seasonal depression right now and trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with all of that. And I'm not saying any of this for sympathy, but I'm just saying like I'm dealing with stuff and I just wanted to clarify or whatever. But being raised in the church and being brought up the way I was brought up, I just have to handle things the right way. Might not be the most popular way because I am a comic. I can crack jokes and I could go in too. But I have to choose a different route because I have a responsibility and we don't want to upset anybody in his family or any of his fans. And we don't want to have to make people choose because why can't people support Katt Williams and me and Sid and Faison and Michael Blackson and Mike Epps and Jamie Foxx? It's enough. But we can't perform everywhere every single weekend. So it's enough money out here for everybody. God bless Katt Williams. God bless his family. I hope that he is safe. I hope that he is healthy. I love him. I love everybody, and I always have.
To hear Ricky talk about a very real issue, seasonal depression, that's something that I've been faced with as well. And to hear him try to choke back those tears to finish that little portion and then try to hurry up and move on to the next thing, that just really hurt me even more. But it pissed me off in the moment that Katt said it, because I'm just like, why go so far? You and Ricky have so much in common other than the movies that you all have done together. Like the fact that you all are stand-up black men who went and adopted other people's children or whatever while still being a father to your bio children. It's okay to have limits, even in comedy, and that's the point that I'm making. But I love the way that Ricky Smiley handled it. And what I noticed is, for the most part, every other comedian is giving him the kind of the brush off, because Katt does this like every few years or every few months or so. And it's just like, why are you not tired by now? As black folks, at some point in time, we are going to have to admit this. If it's not drugs with Katt Williams, then it's going to have to be mental illness. And that's the only other thing that makes sense as to why he keeps going on these unhinged rants every few months over the years. And also why everybody is either ignoring him altogether or handling him with kid gloves in their responses and not coming at him hard and forgiving him for the way that he acts, including Ashima Franklin, fellow comedian who he brutalized, and the father of her child, Carlos Miller, who's an even bigger comedian. Ashima went from being expressive about her victimhood while Carlos was flat out saying, I don't F with Katt Williams, to, you'll see in subsequent interviews, they either stopped talking about it at all, or she was handling it more like she felt more sorry for him than for what he did to her. See, that's got to be mental illness. But since that hasn't been proven, I don't feel sorry for him or people like Tony Gaskins, the famous relationship coach, who has also now started doing the same thing that Katt Williams has been doing for years. Let me be clear about this. We need to stop bashing people who are outshining us. That does not make them all of a sudden gay or devil worshipers. And for the love of God, for 2024, can we retire that whole narrative? Being gay is neither an insult or a scandal. Now, speaking out for other survivors, I am going to say this. Whereas we understand that there are different levels to victimhood and not all victimhood involves penetration. But let me say this. Unless it is not of the age of consent and with people giving their consent, it's not something that we need to hear about. You all are just talking about this stuff in an effort to emasculate or slut shame people. That's what you're doing. And really, it's all just rolled up into gay bashing. Because telling us that somebody in Hollywood did something strange for some change or to star in a part or something like that, we know that already. That's the way Hollyweird works. That's been going on since the beginning of time, and it will continue to go on. But half of the time, you all are talking about something that two adults agreed upon and gave each other consent to do. And then at the end of it, the person who agreed to do something strange for some change actually got what it is that they were promised. Is this victimhood or is this bargaining? Is it predatory? Sure. But what I'm saying is, for us normal victims or whatever, there is no pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. That is just somebody, either somebody that you know or somebody that you don't know, victimizing you. And all you get for your troubles is a lifetime of trauma that you're constantly revisiting. It doesn't work the way that it works in Hollywood. So stop telling us about this. You're taking the voices away from real victims. And especially for people like Katt Williams and now lately Tony Gaskins, which I don't even know where this came from. You all seem to only think that somebody is secretly gay or sleeping their way to the top or a devil worshiper when they have gotten some sort of gig that you felt like you should have gotten, if they're more popular at the time or if they're outshining you. Now, as for Tony Gaskins, I could agree with you when you were talking about the fake relationship gurus that are not even married and giving people advice on getting married. I was with you with that. But when you started bashing men who are largely unproblematic, like the way that Katt Williams did with Ricky Smiley, Tony Gaskins for the past 2 months has been doing that with Mike Todd and Tim Ross and Anthony O'Neill and Devon Franklin. And that's just a few. Recently here, he was getting online bashing the bishop that christened the Brat and Judy's baby, because he's saying that he shouldn't have done that because it was the baby of a gay couple. People who seem to be obsessed with homosexuality and are talking about it all the time, you all come off as closeted homosexuals. I'm just really going to be honest with you. So you might want to take care of whatever it is that's really bothering you in your own prayer closet. But really what's happening with you all is that comparison is the thief of joy, and you are now so focused on the jobs and the opportunities or the fans or fanfare and following that you didn't get, that you can't be grateful and express gratitude to the Lord for all of the things that you have accomplished. And another thing that we need to stop doing is making excuses for people's bad behavior, which brings me right back around to Ashima Franklin. Because I'll be talking about Tony Gaskins in his own separate videos. But we're going to get on to Ashima. And at some point in time, we're going to have to talk about how another thing that we need to stop doing is for Black women making it okay for Black men to brutalize them, especially if they're rich and famous, and then making excuses for them about mental health and childhood trauma. We are people too, and nobody deserves to be beaten. Let's get into Ashima.
A fellow comedian was arrested for a 5th time this year.
Yeah.
Katt Williams. Thoughts on that?
Hey, man. I don't fuck with Katt Williams. That nigga ain't right, bro. That nigga is not right. Something wrong with dude, bro. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I don't fuck with Katt, man. Every time you look up, he arrested for fucking the same shit. You know what I mean? The same shit.
Been a lot of battery arrests.
Yeah, our niggas be doing that. He be doing that shit, man. Nigga like to fight women and shit. And I don't respect that.
You know, you have to understand, I was on tour with Katt for 6 consecutive years. I did 6 major tours. That was one of the most hardest things I've ever had to go through, because I'm a lover, I'm not a fighter. It was hurtful, but I also learned from it. It made me stronger too.
Yeah, was that the moment that you were, you definitely were moved or left the tour or removed from the tour with that incident that kind of was in the headlines?
Yeah, once that incident happened, I left the tour. And to be honest with you, I never wanted it to go public. I never wanted to do interviews about it. I never wanted to talk about it. I didn't file the lawsuit.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Right.
Only thing I wanted at the time was the money I had worked for. And I will also say this, I never had a problem with getting my money from Katt Williams. And at the time, I just was glad that I was out of the situation, and I wanted him to get better.
A smile on my face and God on my side is all I have to answer to. But I will say this, none of you know what happened to me. Yes, Katt Williams changed my life for the better, and that's because of the talent I was blessed with. But at no point, and I mean at no point, did he ever have the right to put his hands on me. If you want to fire me, then cool, give me my walking papers. But to gang jump me is a whole new level. No one deserves that. We are comics. We get on stage to take you away from the drama and the hurt and the pain, even if it's just for a few minutes. And at some point, this shit gotta stop. And to all of you who are hollering about Black women trying to take a Black man down, shut the fuck up. This is not a racial issue. But if you want to make it one, then how about a Black man is never supposed to hit a Black queen, especially in the world we live in today. How you gonna come change my life but try to end it as well? People are always hollering about us sticking together, but when the shit hits the fan, all y'all got is opinions. Well, now it's time for a resolution. How about we figure out how to get this man some help instead of acting like somebody's out to get money? And I am speaking out because he must be stopped and he needs help ASAP. Yeah, you can say I'm stupid for staying with him that long, but that's because you don't know nothing about pursuing your dreams and them actually turning into reality. Or I guess you never worked a job and you didn't like your boss, but you still had to do what you had to do to feed your family. And I have no regrets. All I can do is take this experience and learn from it. and not make the same mistakes. I'm not gaining anything off complete strangers knowing and judging me off of the most humiliating thing that has ever happened to me in life. But what I will gain is strength and courage knowing that my voice will be heard and it will change and help other people that have been or in some type of abusive relationship. Whether it's a personal or work related, I truly hope Katt Williams gets the help he needs.
Like,
The support was...
in terms of comedians, did they kind of like, look at you sideways? Yeah.
A lot of them, and that was another lesson that I learned. That's why I think after that situation happened, I kind of became a little bit of a loner in this business. And I don't blame the comics. People have opinions, you know what I mean? I did find it very funny that a lot of people was just like, oh my God, I don't believe her, when during the time Katt had one situation, another situation, another situation, another situation.
Right.
So why is my situation so unbelievable?
One time I was working on this movie with Katt Williams, like at Aaliyah's uncle's house. Him and Charles S. Dutton, they did a movie about like first black president. I'm like, man, you can't pay for this type of shit.
So now I hope you get an idea of why I was saying I don't like the self-righteous and forever victim thing that Katt Williams does, because he's victimized other people, because that's what he did to Ashima. And so what I was saying is, if you notice in the first interview that Carlos did back in 2016, and then her first real big interview with Comedy Hype in 2019, man, they were so mad and, they wasn't effing with him. But even still, Ashima was talking about him needing help then. And in subsequent interviews that she did on all of these other podcasts that you see scrolling in the background, which make sure that you go and watch those and get into those, not just so that you can learn more about Ashima and the fact that she's been in the game like 15, 20 years and she's a legend in her own right, and, learn about her journey on Ready to Love and how that was actually a genuine connection that she had made with that guy. She's actually a sweet spirit. Like, she is a beautiful soul, and she is so naturally funny, just like Ricky Smiley and some of the other people that I was upset with, to where it's just like, hey, listen, people do not deserve this bashing that you're giving them. But like I was saying, the way that she and Carlos are feeling sorry for him and willing to work with him again in the future, and the way that all of these other comedians are kind of giving him a pass instead of roasting him back in their responses, it really more so leans to mental illness. And that's why I'm not totally bashing Katt Williams and going in, is because even though that hasn't totally been proven, I can't see anything other than mental illness if it's not drugs. Now, watch some people say, well, maybe it's not mental illness. Maybe it's just that Ashima is sweet and she has a forgiving spirit. Maybe Carlos didn't stay mad because it happened to the mother of his child, but not to him directly. Maybe they didn't want that to stop their bag or stop their money. Maybe comedians just work through things differently and they heal differently through comedy. Maybe it's because this was 8 years ago and folks could get over it. Like, how long are you supposed to stay mad? Well, if that's your argument, some of this stuff happened 25 years ago and Katt is still ranting about it. So maybe he can't get over it because it's mental illness. I'm still a fan though. So I do have a little sympathy for that there. But like I said, all of these gay bashing talking points and then try to mask it with God as if y'all are so hyper religious and so forth and so on and you're perfect. Like, spare me with all of that. I'm really not into it. So all of the other videos that you saw mentioned and scrolling, please make sure that you go back and watch those. Particularly watch the video that I made about Boosie and the color purple, because that video can't be monetized due to the heavy subject matter. So if you all just hit that super thanks, that'll be the only way that I can get paid off of some of these videos. But more important than anything else, know that I'm still a fan of Katt Williams. I'm concerned about him. And also, if you all know of any links to any videos where he did address this and apologize, please drop those in the comments, because that's only fair.